Australians are getting older, and as such, our workforce has aged dramatically. The rate of older Australians in the workforce has more than doubled in the last 20 years. We may soon have the oldest pension age in the world, and many Australians are choosing to opt out of retirement completely. So what's out there for these working Australians? Increasingly, the answer seems to be jobs that are short-term, on-demand and unsecure, also known as gig work. Chances are you've been in contact with gig work at some point in the last year. If you've ever taken an Uber or had an Airtasker assemble your flat pack furniture, you've contributed to Australia's billion-dollar gig economy. It's not just millennials taking advantage of this unsecure type of work. In fact, over a quarter of Uber drivers in the USA are over 55 years of age. I spoke with a few of these older workers, getting involved with what has usually been perceived as a young man's game.
Ian Paul Lyles. I'm 62 years of age now.
My name's Deborah and I've been driving Uber for 9 months.
My name is Ram, and so I've been here just a bit over 50 years.
Many Australians in their twilight years are facing boredom, loneliness and often overwhelming expenses. Gig work, which is often very flexible and social, is increasingly attractive to these older Aussies. Deborah works part-time and does a little bit of trading on the side. She really appreciates the social aspect of driving Uber.
I've met all walks of life, all nationalities, so I enjoyed that part because if you are lonely, like you're at home and you're older or you're on your own, you think, oh, well, I can Uber and meet people.
So does Ram, who trades on the stock market full-time, often between rides from his tablet. Due to an increasingly casualised workforce and an underlying culture of ageism in many Australian industries, plenty of older workers are finding it difficult to ensure full-time and secure work.
One day, in a company I absolutely loved, in a job that I was just so happy with, the company went through a few changes and suddenly about 800 to 1200 global technology sales and support roles got deleted. I was one of them. I was on the wrong side of 50 and it's very hard to get back into that field.
It was especially tough for Ian.
I was so demoralised, I just gave up. What do? You just keep walking around forever and just having the door slammed in your face just because you're of a certain age. It's age discrimination. There's nothing you can do about it.
Companies like Uber and Airtasker offer very little interaction between an employer and their subcontractor, meaning it's difficult for people to pass judgment on the age or ability of the person that they're employing. This is a huge barrier that's been broken for people like Ram and Ian, but the gig economy is not the be-all, end-all for older Australians. Unions New South Wales recently launched a push to install an independent regulatory body for the whole industry.
So I'm Kate Minter, I'm the Research Director at Unions New South Wales, and we've been doing a lot of work in the gig economy, particularly researching the implications it has on workers' rights. So essentially the gig economy is just a new way of connecting people with work through websites and apps and using algorithms to really target that work, and potentially it has really exciting opportunities to see workers who have had barriers to work before access work, for services to be on a more demand-driven basis. There's a lot of exciting opportunities for workers and consumers. I think there's a lot of barriers to a lot of older people finding work, and it's not just the things that relate to the ability to perform the job if they're labour intensive, but there are a lot of ageist discrimination, like out and out discrimination, that makes it really hard for older workers to re-enter the workforce or transition jobs.
Despite the extensive lack of regulation, Kate is optimistic about the advantages of the industry for older Australians.
I think absolutely it can be regulated. There are no reasons. We have, forms of employment that have provided that flexibility in the past. And I think we just need to balance those two out, because there's a lot of great opportunities as the gig economy expanding. But absolutely there should be minimum rates of pay. There's no reason why people in the gig economy can't be paid a standardised, flat minimum rate of pay that maintains, a standard of living, which is what our employment system's been based on. It comes down to making sure it's well paid. And I don't think that older workers should have to trade that off, particularly as they're working later in life. Older workers also have a lot of other responsibilities, often caring for older relatives or grandchildren. They shouldn't have to trade flexibility off for bad conditions and no safety net in their work. As a broader industry and the type of work, I think that the types of work available in the gig economy can be very fulfilling and fun, but when it comes to entitlements and conditions and how people are treated at work, there's a lot more to be done for older workers.